Welcome back. This week we're going to go with a time-tested Griffith's Gnat. Probably one of the easiest patterns. Dry flies for certain that you can tie. There are so many different midges out there to tie. I know when I was a kid I used to tie them on size down to size, well, probably 28s, and I would still try and put the wings on there and, have the hackle wraps and the tail, so on and so forth. It's just 100% not necessary. I mean, if you want to do it, that's fine. A lot of times when fish are taking midges, they're taking clusters, not just a single midge. It's not really worth their effort or energy to go up there and sip on one fly, so they're going up there after clusters, and that's what this Griffith's Gnat started to imitate, was a cluster of midges. That's why you see them tied on bigger hooks, the 18s, the 20s. 16s is what I'm going to tie it on today. 16s probably the bigger end of what I will tie these on. 18's probably the smallest. It's really rare outside of the tricos, and even at that I tie clusters on those too. Outside of the tricos, it's really rare for me to tie on anything smaller than a 20 these days. I just don't find it necessary. I really don't. So we're going to go ahead and start the tying on this one. Very quick video, very simple video, but it's very great for it. It's very necessary to have, especially in winter fishing. So we'll go ahead and get zoomed in and get going on this one. Like I said, this is a size 16. This is an MFC 7000. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to start on this. I'm just going to lay down a thread base of brown 8/0 thread. Just nice even wraps. Take that back to the ascent of the barb. Go ahead and tie that off. You can do this black thread done whatever color you want. It really doesn't matter. It's all going to get covered up. Whatever color you have on the bobbin will work. Not really necessary to stress too much about that. Next thing, I'm going to take some extra small silver wire, and you can omit this step completely if you want. This is just going to give this fly a little bit more durability. You can by all means skip this if you want. Tie in the silver wire, and this is just going to act as a counter wrap on the hackle that we tie in. It's just going to anchor it, shore it up a little bit more. There we go. Here come the girls. Here come the girls. Alright. So if you want to, you can do this on a pure thread body. That's up to you. I'm going to take 2 strands of Peacock Herl. I'm going to tie this in. That's what I'm going to use for the body. But you, like I said, you can do a straight thread body if you want. If you want to keep it a little bit more sparse on the body, entirely up to you. So I'm going to tie in this Peacock. Take it back to where I left off with the thread and the wire. And I'm going to take this to the front and just a quick half hitch. Get this in the cradle. Entirely up to you. If you want to wrap it overhand, that's fine. Well, I was going to run the rotary function, but I got a little heavy-handed on that and busted a Peacock Herl, so I'm probably just going to take this back old school. What are you doing over there? What are you doing, Knox? She's getting sleepy. Alright. Just one wrap right in front of the next with these 2 Herls. Right up to the front. This Peacock Herl gives a nice little reflective value to the fly. sometimes I like this a little bit more than just the straight thread body, because you really don't get any reflective value in this. So here we go. You see we got a nice little taper because we tied it in from the tips and worked our way forward. We have a nice little taper on that. And now the next thing that I'm going to do is select, next thing that I'm going to do is talk to you about Hackle. So there are so many different options on what kind of hackle you can use. The original was done with just a straight Grizzly. That's what you see in probably 99% of the Griffiths out there. It's just a straight Grizzly. Sometimes they're a little bit lighter. Sometimes the midges are a little bit darker. When they get into a cluster, individually it's really not going to make a big difference. Well, really it's not going to make a big difference whatsoever, no matter which one you choose. I mean, the hackle's not going to show up a ton, but individually, if you're tying these smaller, use whatever color's available to you. It's not going to matter whatsoever. But sometimes when you get these clusters together and you look at them on the water, you can see that little bit of white. You can see that little bit of legs or wings, whatever it is that stand out. That's where I would go with the either done Grizzly or just a straight Grizzly. Usually on the darker days when you don't really have that light penetration, you don't have the reflective properties that are naturally out there, I'm going to go with a done Grizzly or a straight black. For this one I'm going to go with not a done Grizzly, an olive Grizzly. Back that up a little bit. So what I'm going to take here on this one is just an olive Grizzly, and we're going to tie this one in, get zoomed back in on this. I got to about where we were. And I'm going to undersize this somewhat. The front is going to be a little bit heavier than the back, but I am going to undersize this one. So this is probably what you would see as an 18. That stem right there, I know it's probably blurry because it's going to be tough to pick up with the camera because we're zoomed in so close. That's probably going to be what you would see as an 18. I'm going to reiterate this. It really does not matter what color of hackle you tie it. If you want to go straight white or a cream, by all means, it's not going to make or break this pattern. This is more so just for flotation than anything. And it makes sense to me to start in the back and go, or to start in the front and go back. This way you have all of your hackles going toward the rear of the hook. And you have your bigger hackle in the front of the fly as opposed to the back. So I'm just going to work these around all the way to the back. There we go. Now I'm going to bring this wire around and I'm going to bring it opposite way that I have my hackle going. And I'm just going to make a couple of quick wraps to counter wrap this. With the extra small, you're really not going to trap a lot of material. There we go. Work that all the way up to the front. Boom. Get back here. Trim off that back section. I'm going to trim off my wire. And turn the phone off because it's buzzing away. I'm going to find my whip finisher because, as always, my fat fingers don't allow me to whip finish by hand on small flies. Quick 3. Give this one more. 1, 2, 3. Boom. We're done. If you want to, go ahead and touch that thread up with some glue. Another thing that you can do, you can see this kind of has some hackles that extend down past the point of the hook. It depends on how you want your fly to ride. I like mine to ride, especially with midges or spinners, even mayflies. I like my mayflies riding close to the water as possible. So what I do a lot of times on this, I know I'm almost out of the frame here, but I just come right underneath and I trim this right at the very bottom. I just trim this back. I still have the flotation that I want from the hackle, but now my fly is going to ride lower in the water. I got one more fiber in there. There we go. My fly is going to ride lower in the water now. It's going to sit more down in the surface film, which is going to be what happens typically when these things are clustered up. They're going to be more in the surface film than what they are riding high on the water. So I usually trim those on the bottom. It doesn't look as sexy as some of the stuff you'll see in the pattern or in the magazines or whatever it may be, because it's just flat on the bottom. But from a functionality standpoint, it's a lot better than the ones that you see that look pretty. So that's just my 2 cents on that one. Tie them pretty if you want, but I like them sitting in the surface film. Anyhow, enough of the rambling on pretty or ugly flies. I like to tie a bunch of ugly ones. So questions or comments, as always, leave them with me. I'll get back to you. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next Wednesday.